Hey everyone, recently I've been doing an inventory of all my preparedness supplies. I try to do it a really good one once a year and then a couple throughout the year, but I've got my lights out kit out, and I decided that since I've got it out, I'll go ahead and show everybody what I've got. Maybe give you some ideas of, how to put yours together or what to do. What I do is I have these lists that I have. You can download these on the website survivalistprepper.net. That is just an inventory sheet. Basically, you put the product or the supplies down, what you have, like flashlights, lanterns, solar lanterns. You put out how many you have, and then the expiration dates, and then if you need more or not. It gives me an idea of what I have, what I need, and what I need to kind of check as far as expirations and all that. Also got notes here so I don't forget to say anything. But what I do is most of this stuff, not all of it, but a lot of this stuff goes in this little plastic bin right here. And I put it either in the garage or in a closet, something like that. And what it is just something that nobody's going to touch. Kids have a tendency of, and us too as adults, have a tendency of misplacing stuff or using stuff like the solar chargers. My kids will use those for backups, and then they'll bring them back in with them being completely dead, which they're no use to me then. Batteries get mixed up, the new ones and the old ones, and all of that. So I like to have something that's completely separate, that I know everything in it is going to work and it doesn't get messed with. And so with a lights out kit, there's stuff you have around your house that doesn't exactly go in here, but I know the stuff in here, I know it's going to be there when I need it. So what a lights out kit isn't is, just to take everything you have for your electricity and stuff and throw it in a couple of bins, and that's your lights out kit. Because we have candles around the house, we have lighters around the house, we have all sorts of different stuff. We've got a bunch of different supplies that are the same thing, like the matches here. I've got some of those in bug out bags. I've got 7 or 8 different sets of those. So it's not everything you have in a kit. The fuel like this for the lantern, you're not going to want to store something like this in the kit because it's it could break open. And another thing, while I'm on that with these, if you get this lamp oil, you want to take the oil out of this bottle, because this plastic bottle, over time, this will get brittle and it'll pop open. So you can put that in a glass container or a metal container, something that'll hold that. But you don't want to put that stuff in there. If you keep this kit in the garage, you don't want to necessarily put a lot of batteries or anything in it, because with the temperature swings, hot and cold, it's going to decrease the lifetime of those batteries. So I guess with that, let me kind of go through what some of this stuff is, some of the stuff that you might think about. And like I said, there really isn't a, have 2 flashlights, have 2 lanterns, anything like that. It's basically what you have. And this is the extra stuff that I don't want touched, that I know that when I go to get it, it's going to be there. Whereas the stuff around the house, that's kind of a crapshoot. Who knows? Who knows how many of the batteries are going to work, how many of the different remotes have got half-used batteries, how many, all that stuff. So I guess what I'll do is I'll go through some of the stuff here. I've got this lantern, and this doesn't go in the kit because this has fuel in it. If I were to completely empty this and store this somewhere else, maybe I could put that in there, but this doesn't go in the kit. But it does stay. This is something the kids just don't use, so it's not a big deal. I have a headlamp that I keep in there just for that reason. This headlamp is actually one of my favorites, and if I were to leave this out, this is just too convenient, and the kids will grab it and use it, and then all of a sudden this rechargeable battery's dead. And when the power's out, there's no way to recharge that. So, and that's another reason I like to do inventory on these a couple times a year, is to make sure that these rechargeables and everything are actually charged and are going to be useful at that point. I've got these Sterno Cans, which are good for heating, and I've also got this little folding camp stove, which I'm not really going to try to pull up. Well, I'm not going to put it completely together, but this folding camp stove is pretty cool. It's for camping, but if it were a grid down situation or something, and I had to use this to maybe, I've got a piece or some canned food or something like this with a Sterno can is a good alternative cooking source. I've also got the Coleman stove that I have outside. We've got the propane grill. I mean, you're going to have to think about things like that when you're talking about no electricity, how to cook, how to stay warm. It's not just about light, and also about sanitation, which we'll go through that in a second too. But another thing I have are these crank lanterns, and basically these can be, I think this one's charged. Crank this one up. These can be either powered by the crank here itself. They have a battery compartment or an adapter. I don't have the adapters for these, but they do take AA batteries, so that might be useful as well. I've got a bunch of different batteries, and one thing that I think is absolutely important for everybody is to have one of these battery checkers, because I can't tell you how many times when I've wondered, batteries get mixed up, and I've wondered, is this battery good? Is this battery dead? Let's see if I have any open ones here. So it's just, I mean, it's for the $8 that it costs, it's really a good idea to have one of these, because what it can do is, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you put the battery in there and it tells you if that battery's charged or not. So instead of throwing all those old batteries away, you can check these out with this and decide, hey, that one's good. It's also great when you've got batteries. These ones are a couple years old, so I check these every time I check the kit. It's also great for that rotation and that inventory. I know that once a year I have to take these batteries out for everybody to use, and I'll throw a new set in there. I've got a bunch of different ways to light a fire. I've got the matches. I've got this lighter. I've got a couple of old Bic lighters. I've got a bunch of different flashlights. These are just kind of extra stuff that I have. So anything that's just kind of laying around, say it's in a drawer or something, as long as there's stuff around the house for everybody to use, I take this extra stuff and just throw it in the lights out kit. Got this flashlight right here. These are all just kind of extra stuff. Oh, I'm not hitting that mic and making noise. I've got a whole little packet or little box of, like I said, extra flashlights. You can go to Home Depot or anything, especially around the holidays, and they've got a set of like 10 flashlights, and most people are like, what would I need 10 flashlights for? But for us, it's beautiful. I've also got this crank radio that I just did a review on, which is actually a solar charger as well. Along with that, down there is a solar charger. It can be reversed to where it charges other things. You crank it and it charges other things. It's got the solar panel on it. It's got the weather radio, the NOAA radio. This thing for $50 is well worth the money. It's not just the weather radio. And, kind of along the lines of this are playing cards and games, because this has the FM radio on it. In a true grid down event, probably not going to have the FM radio, but having games and stuff to play. These urban playing cards, I've had a conversation with Lisa about this, whether that's a good idea, because when the power's out, do you really want to be talking about stuff like this? But I think, it depends on the situation, but I think maybe. But what's cool about these urban playing cards too is that they're actual playing cards, so you can play poker or stuff like that, while they just kind of glance at the questions. What else do I have here? Got a couple candles, couple glow sticks. Can't really see up here. Bunch of different batteries. The LED light right there. Extension cords. I've got a few extension cords around the house. So just basically a lights out kit. There isn't really one kind of lights out kit, but there are a bunch of different things that you need to think about. Along with all the stuff that's kind of here, I've got a 8,000 watt generator. I can't remember what it's just a gasoline generator, but that is really going to depend on the situation. Is it something that I want to use? Is the situation, am I going to be able to use it safely, basically? So I've also got my portable generator with a 100 amp hour battery that I put together, that gives me the option, a little bit more option than, say, this lantern or this light right here. It gives me a little bit longer time period, and it charges with solar, and it's absolutely silent. So I can use that for a little bit, although I do need some more solar panels, because the 15 watt solar panels I have just aren't going to cut it. It's going to take about 30 days to recharge that battery full capacity, so that's a long time. It really it limits how much I can use it, basically. Another thing you're going to have to think about as far as, and not just power and having electricity, but your sanitation. You've got to have that food and you've got to have that water stored, because out here we have a well pump. So that's why I've got the solar generator as well, because I can hook it up to that well pump and get water that way. But if you don't have that option, you might not have running water. So you're going to need that 1 gallon of water per person per day minimum to have that stored. Another thing you're going to have to think about is going to the bathroom, because like I said, if the plumbing's out, the electricity's out, that stuff's not going to work. So, a great idea, and I'm not sure how great it is, but it is kind of one of the only options, is a 5-gallon bucket. And they make the 5-gallon bucket toilet seat covers. You put a trash bag in there, some kitty litter, or they have this stuff that it's called blue gel porta potty chemicals. Basically, it just gels everything up, any liquid waste. So that stuff that you could use as well. You'll want to have some hand sanitizer and some gloves as well for situations like that. But that stuff you have to think about. It's not just the TV's not on or the internet's not on. It's, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom and I don't know what to do. Cooking and stuff like that as well. I mean, we've got the outdoor grills, a lot of us do, but like I said, with these little Sterno things and this little folding camp stove, you can use a Coleman stove if you have those. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. Ours is probably 15 years old, and it still works really well with the propane. But you got to make sure you have the fuel for that as well. Even have some charcoal, because our gas grill, even though it is a gas grill, if worst case scenario, I would put charcoal in that just to be able to use it. So have a bag of charcoal just hanging out. The stuff lasts forever, and why not have a little bag. The sun oven also, we have one of those, which would be really good. It doesn't put off a lot of smell, and in a grid down situation, you're not going to want that smell wafting all over the place and letting your neighbors know that, hey, you've got food and you're cooking, all of that. Keeping warm or keeping cool too is another thing you need to think about, and that's stuff that we really don't have to go out and buy a whole lot of extra stuff. We can take the old clothes that we have, the old blankets we have, and instead of giving them to Goodwill, we can take those and just put them in another one of these bins or something and have those there just in case. Shoes, gloves, all of that different stuff that might be useful, why not just store it away a little bit instead of giving it away, and that way you have it if that situation ever comes up. Along with the cooking and all of that, you need to make sure you have the fuel. So if you do have a generator, you need to make sure, we always store 4 or 5 gallon cans of gasoline, and that's going to go up the more we build up. We don't have the money to do it all at once, so it's got to be kind of a slow and grow type thing. But make sure you have that. Make sure you have the Coleman fuel. Make sure you have lamp oil, or if you have kerosene heater, stuff like that, make sure you have all of that stuff. And that's what these lists right here are great for, because you can mark down, hey, I've got this solar charger, or I've got this lantern right here, but I don't have any oil for it, or I've only got a little bit of oil in there. And this is probably, I would guess, say 15 hours with the oil that's in here right now. It could be more, I don't know, but that would be my guess. So if you're down here, you're only talking maybe 1 or 2 nights with this on consistently. Another thing with this lamp too, these lights right here give off just about as much light as this does when it's on. This one gives off a little bit more. The only difference is this is going to stay on for hours, where these probably minutes, and then you're going to be cranking again. So if you got a few teenagers, these are great, but if you're by yourself, you might want to get one of those. But anyway, where was I? Having the fuel and stuff, having games, having entertainment, because the one thing people are going to be is absolutely completely bored. And if it's just a snowstorm, or a drunk driver plowed into a transformer or something, and it's going to be a day until you get your power back, kids are going to be bored. So you're going to want to have something to keep their minds off of everything. So having books, having games, having stuff that they can do, teach them about, if it is just a power outage from a natural disaster, a snowstorm or something, that's a great time to teach them about some of this stuff that we do and why we do it, because you've got their undivided attention at that point. So that's kind of it on all the power outage supplies. If I didn't answer anything, I kind of There's a whole lot, and I'm going to put all of this on the article too at survivalistprepper.net. So if I did forget some stuff, read that article and it'll answer your questions there. If it doesn't answer your questions, leave me a comment below the video, leave me a comment at the website, and then we'll go through all of that. But I think that's basically it. So if you get a chance, subscribe to the channel below. Appreciate it. You can get all our future videos. We're going to start doing some different stuff with the videos as well. In our podcast, we're going to start doing some video podcasts and all that. So that should be cool. Hopefully it's cool anyway. But I appreciate it, everyone. And until next time, take care and prepare. We'll talk to you later.